Comics Watch. Comics Watch. Comics Watch.
Now I am become death.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to this week's episode of Comics Watch, where we punish you for not watching this stream. Oh gosh,
I miss those puns.
No, I guess so. So, basically, this week we're talking about the Punisher and its symbol because we got the Netflix show going on where they got like, oh, Punisher's hunting down the cops that are using his symbol, and I thought, you know what, if I'm going to talk about the Punisher, I want to bring in somebody who knows what they're talking about. So, welcome to the show, Mike Bloody Baron. How you doing, friend?
Doing good, thanks.
So, for like the two people who don't know who you are, could you like introduce yourself and why we're worshiping at your altar?
Yeah. Well, probably because I wrote Punisher from issue number 1 to issue number 65.
Oh, wow.
That's a long run. Wow.
It was 5 years.
Yes, and what are like some characters or storylines that like Marvel and Disney have like strip mined?
Well, they have adapted the character that I created, Microchip, whom I created because I realized that the Punisher needed tech support. He couldn't do it all on his own, hence Microchip. And there is talk that they're going to adapt The Final Days, which I wrote, where Punisher ends up in prison with Jigsaw, into the new Disney Punisher Netflix show. But we'll see. I mean, I'm not holding my breath. But
Didn't he die at the end of the second season, though?
Who?
The Jigsaw. Didn't he die at the end of the second season?
I don't know. I didn't get that far.
Jared.
Me neither. I watched all of season 1 where he got messed up, and I watched part of season 2.
Yeah, I'm the same way. Like I watched part of season 1 and like all season 1 and part of season 2. So Mike, I'm sure you're kind of familiar with like the whole argument of like the symbol and whatnot. So like, what's your history with that controversy?
You know, I never had any problem with the symbol. I think it's ridiculous that these people are having a problem with it now. It stands for protection of the weak.
Yep.
It stands for justice. And this insane argument that it stands for rogue police who go outside the law to do whatever they want, that's just nonsense.
Well,
Yeah, I think. Oh, go ahead, Jared.
I remember in the Thomas Jane movie, the way that the symbol like entered like Frank's purview is his son gets him a T-shirt, and the vendor explains that it's supposed to ward off evil spirits. So I'm like, it's about protection. It's just here's the thing. I think the problem with it is that a certain area of the political spectrum just thinks it's too scary. And just because people they don't like have used it.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah, exactly. They're like, oh my gosh, it's so evil.
And I also think like it's been used by certain key people that a lot of people don't like. Like for example, Chris Kyle, the American sniper. Mm-hmm. He used that symbol. Like, he had a whole group of people in Iraq that he called Punishers or whatever.
Charlie Platoon. What they would do.
Well, it's funny you should mention that.
Yeah. So what he would do is, whenever they were like leaving a house, they would spray paint the Punisher logo on the house to let the enemy know, hey, we were here.
There he is.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, wearing the hat.
Yeah. Chris Kyle. A lot of people don't know who he is.
They should.
My only experience is the movie. I thought the movie was pretty good, but yeah.
Yeah, the movie was great. I read the movie.
Mm-hmm.
And then I saw the movie. I mean, I read the book. And then I saw the movie.
But yeah, so like it's kind of been a thing where like cops have adopted it. Like you've seen like different variations of it, and I think it's because it was adopted by a lot of people that some people don't like. cops, military. And we have our first commenter. He says, Mr. Barron, did it anger you what Jason Aaron did to Punisher?
I have no idea because I haven't read that.
All right, I'll explain. So what he did is, first off, they changed the logo because.
Oh, I
again,
saw that. I mean, I
yeah.
was aware of what's going on because of the press.
And then wait, it gets worse. He kills Frank and leaves him in hell while someone else takes up the mantle of the Punisher, but it's pretty much the exact same story. It's just the reason why this is okay because it's not Frank Castle.
Well,
and didn't they do like a whole issue where like they tortured him and humiliated him or something?
Yeah.
I've heard about that, and you know, I don't know what Jason Aaron meant by hell. Did he mean literally hell?
Yeah.
Well, because that's the kind of supernatural bullshit that doesn't belong in the Punisher.
Yeah.
The reason the Punisher succeeded when I wrote him is because I approached him as a straight crime story.
Mm-hmm.
And for 3 years, there was no dinosaurs, time travel, or aliens.
Mm-hmm.
He was dealing with gun smugglers, drug smugglers, crooked bankers, charismatic murderous preachers, guys that poison people by putting cyanide in pills and planting them on shelves.
Wait, did you preacher? Do you mean Pilgrim?
Pardon?
You mean Pilgrim?
What about who's Pilgrim?
Like the murder, the preacher character, the murder guy.
I'm referring to a story.
There's a character like that in season 2 of Punisher. That's yeah, kind of.
I don't know. Who knows? They may have taken that from my book.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Continue.
That's it.
Oh, gosh, that was. Oh yeah. So Burner says, "I'm back, baby. Good afternoon, gentlemen. And good afternoon, Burner. It's good to see you."
Now, let me ask you this, Mike. So, what do you think is like the one thing that like Hollywood or all these newer writers get wrong about Frank?
You know, it's a mystery to me because he's the easiest character in the world to get right. And I don't understand why they can't do a good Punisher story. I have to tell you that in the vein of somebody's dangerous, who's trying to lead a peaceful life and gets dragged back into it, The Equalizer stands head and shoulder above
God, I love those movies.
Over every other vigilante movie. And if you want to see what a Punisher movie should have been, watch The Equalizer with Denzel Washington.
That's pretty much it.
I love those movies. And what's great is they don't really like, they escalate a little bit, but they don't get ridiculous. Like the most it gets is he's in Europe taking down some people, but it doesn't get too ridiculous. And I love those movies.
I think the ideal Punisher movie would be if you took The Equalizer and combined it with the gun action from John Wick.
Ooh.
I like John Wick, but all his sequels were incomprehensible.
I was talking with the first one. I was talking with the first one.
Yeah.
The second one's not bad, but like after that, it got pretty ridiculous.
I'm like, what? You're killing people with a book?
Yeah. So what's the high table?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, runaway world building is the term I use for that.
In this, so what they also did in that series where they sent Frank to hell, turns out he was sent to hell because he resurrected his wife, who then murdered him.
See, that's nonsense. I mean,
that's malicious. It's malicious.
Well, I don't know if it's malicious or not. I'm sure he's trying. Whoever wrote that was trying to entertain, but he was mostly entertaining himself.
Yeah. He also made it. He retconned Frank Castle's like origin, like when he was a kid, he was kind of a serial killer, or like he kind of like he wanted to kill people, and I'm like, that's not Frank at all. I'm just like, it's because I look at it, and it's because here's the thing. The problem with that at least I saw is like they think that like no person can do what the Punisher does and be sane, or it's like, because you think about the Punisher, actually, to use like a Joker term, is like he had one bad day that put him on this path. He lost his family, and then justice didn't work, so he took it into his own hands. So
well, hang on a second, guys. I'll be right back. Text me out.
Yeah. So anyway,
okay.
Nick, am I right? It's that whole concept, because it's like justice didn't work, so he decided, okay, wait a minute, I need to do this myself because justice is not going to be done.
And what's hilarious is even in that story, The Killing Joke, they prove that it takes more than one bad day to snap.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what I love about everyone who brings up like the one bad day argument, because even in that story, they prove it doesn't work.
Yeah, exactly. To Gordon.
Yeah. So, we got channel member Jason Ingram says he's late to the party. What's up? We're having a lovely chat with Mike Barron here. He's had to step away for a second, so me and Jared are taking up. So Jared, as a person who's read some of Mike Barron's work, how would you describe it?
It is the most grounded because here's the thing. Actually, most of the Punisher I've read is he's in the actual Marvel universe fighting dragons. When I read Mike stuff, it's more akin to reading straight Batman because it's like it's grounded. He flies fighter jets and he shoots people. It's not like he's shooting a grenade launcher against an elf.
I miss anything?
Really?
I love like you came in grenade launcher against an elk. I was asking Jared like what he thought of your stories.
They're great, and it's like what I like about it is that it's a palate cleanser when you compare it to like regular Marvel because it's like it's like there are times to like watch like Thor smack Loki in the head with a hammer, but there's also a place like straight up ground street level a guy. Punisher goes against like a child predator. There was this fantastic it's one of my favorite Punisher moments. So this child predator is DMing a kid, setting up a meet. What he doesn't know is on the other end of that line is Frank.
Who wrote that?
I forget who wrote that. Let me look that up. But it is because you know what Frank is gonna do to the guy.
Sounds like Levon Cade.
Did you hear that Chuck Story's getting a movie?
It comes out Friday.
I'm so happy for him. Like, honestly, between you and Chuck Dixon, I think you guys wrote the definitive Punisher.
Oh, thank you. We do too.
Yeah, there you go.
I was so disgusted with what Marvel did with the Punisher that I created Private American.
Oh, there you go.
And let me show you that.
Yeah.
Oh, of course. Yeah, definitely.
And this is what the Punisher should be doing. He's on the southern border, intercepting human traffickers, drug runners, and terrorists. I wrote this about 2 years ago, and it's available now to my store, baroncomix.com. And I have a second issue written, and the second issue is a thermonuclear bomb. I can't wait for that to come out, but it's going to be a ways because the artist has not yet started working on it, although we do have an artist, and I'm stoked.
Yep. And then you can check it out here. Got a thing there. So yeah, so always happy to give you some promos there.
Yeah, that's why I'm here.
Of course.
We respect the hustle.
But it's like what I was saying is that I found the scene. It's not I couldn't find who wrote it, but it's like. So the child predator shows up holding flowers, and then Punisher walks out of the showers and goes, "Those are my favorite flowers." or like his first appearance in Daredevil season 2 is when he buys like a police radio so he can listen on their communications, and as he's leaving, the dude tries to sell him some adult entertainment, and he goes, "Oh, you'd love this one. They're barely 12." He stops. Puts the sign to close, walks back, takes a metal baseball bat, and all you hear is the dude's head being bashed in.
Oh, they did that in season 1 of Punisher. They literally recreated that scene.
Yeah, it's so good. I love it.
So, what's your favorite version of like live action Punisher? Like I think we've gotten 3 so far.
Yeah.
Which one do you think of them?
Well, I would include the Netflix series, and I think that, I don't want to say it's the best. And Warzone was ridiculous, but Ray Stevenson was the best Punisher.
good actor, bad movie, essentially.
Yeah.
It's one of those things.
It's such an easy character to get right. All they have to do is take him seriously, and they just can't do it.
Well, here's the funny thing. If you notice, Hollywood has recently been like releasing a lot of like Punisher-like characters, like
It always
Reacher,
has.
like
The
John
vigilante
Wick.
looms large in the American imagination. Vigilante movies are always popular.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, it goes back to the Western,
Yep.
Like the gunslinger comes into town, fixes up all the problems. I think Reacher is probably a better Punisher show than the actual Punisher sometimes.
Which show?
Reacher.
Reacher. I saw the first season. It was pretty good.
Yeah, that's pretty much Punisher. Yeah.
Yeah, and like I said, it goes back to like the lone gunslinger. It's that kind of archetype. The thing about the Punisher is it's a very American story, and I think that's sometimes what's so hard for a lot of Europeans to understand is the Punisher itself is a very American tale. Like, yeah, you could do it in Europe, but like the story itself comes from a very American mindset.
Yep.
Yeah.
I remember when Death Wish came out, and then Dirty Harry.
Well, the other thing from a European perspective is like here's the thing: it's like a lot of people outside the United States don't really understand the American fascination with firearms. So naturally, a superhero who that's his tool of the trade is going to go right over their heads,
right under their head.
Well, yeah, exactly.
Because they haven't lived the American experience. They don't have the background that we do. Most importantly, they've never experienced personal liberty, which is the foundation of this country, and which has made it the greatest nation on earth, the most successful.
Agreed.
And because of that, the object of intense envy, hatred, and malice.
Yeah, like it's why whenever somebody posts, "Aren't you afraid of about the world community is going to think of?" No,
in no way am
I
afraid.
do not give a crap.
In no way am I afraid about them judging me, particularly when they themselves have failed to uphold their own values.
Yeah, I love that Trump is forcing them to defend themselves, because they've been getting a free ride for decades. They spend 1% of their government finances on self-defense. I think that we spend like 40%, and we're taking care of the whole world. But no longer. The free ride is over.
Yeah, yeah. I'm trying not to get too political here, but I totally agree with what you're saying. Oh gosh. So yeah, it's kind of like a controversy that's been brewing, and it's just like when I saw, like, I was watching Daredevil Born Again, and as soon as I saw the thing, and they made a point of like showing his wrist with like the Punisher symbol on it, and I knew as soon as I saw like
that. On one of the shells that one of the cops fires from his firearm, there's a Punisher logo on the shell, and that's why Matt goes to Frank. He's like, "Are you aware they're using your logo?"
Oh, you mean the tattoo was on someone who was not the Punisher?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sure there are a lot of Punisher tattoos out there. Doesn't mean that somebody's going to run amok.
Yeah, but it seems like there's like this, like in the show, there's like this corrupt order of cops.
No,
they're like using his symbol as like and basically the storyline is the Punisher is going to go after these evil cops using his symbol.
Oh, they love to do that, don't they? Well, I have to say, I mean, we all know there are bad cops out there.
Yeah,
there are, just as there's good cops. I mean, it's a spectrum, really.
Because there are good cops. I know a bunch of good cops.
I do too. It's just, so it's like, why is it Punisher in particular? Like, there's so many other characters that do so many other things. Why is it Punisher in particular that seems to be so controversial, in your opinion?
Well, because what Marvel has done to him.
Yeah. Well,
Marvel has forgotten their number one obligation, which is to entertain. It's very simple. That people read books to be entertained. They want entertainment. They don't want a lecture. They don't want to be told they're bad people for liking the character. they want to be drawn up in the story. They want to care about the character. They want to care about what happens next. That's the most important question in fiction. What happens next? Because if the reader doesn't care, he's not going to turn the page. And one of the ways you make the reader care is you create a likable, sympathetic, but menacing protagonist, which is what the Punisher is. When I was writing the Punisher, I gave him a lot of interpersonal moments with the people with whom he interacted, and I'll show you one. I'll do another one here.
And that's one of the things I always liked about your Punisher, Mike, is that he always felt human. Yes,
Yep.
he was like someone that went through a very traumatic experience, but he still felt like just a regular guy that had a horrible experience happen to him.
Yeah, he came out the other side.
Yeah, that's what actually should be like. He should be even more of a hero because he came out. The fact that he came out in any way sane from what happened to him shows how like strong the human mind and spirit is, and I think that's like one of the qualities that like the Punisher really has is like the American spirit.
Oh,
Wait a second. It's back.
okay, gotcha.
Now read this.
Anything you need to stay awake. Coke.
Oh, he's bushed. I wish that term would have come back.
I don't mess that stuff since I found the Lord. Okay. You got the Lord. Okay. I can dig it. God bless. You know, honey, have you thought about letting the Lord into your heart and soul? I will if he's got $50.
That is some quality writing
That's
right there.
great. Oh, God.
I love it. Like, and I love how you saved that punchline for like the end. That was so
Thanks,
good.
guys.
That's so good. Oh my gosh.
I will if he's got $50. Like, why has this not been quoted? Like that sounds like that is like meme worthy material.
That has
right
to be in a show. Put that in a Punisher show. That needs to happen there. But the problem is, here's the problem. That would require Punisher praising God, and as we know, that's the other thing Hollywood doesn't like.
Yeah. Well, another thing I did with the Punisher is I made it clear he was a devout Catholic.
Yep.
And I got another one for you on that. Hang on.
Okay.
As a devout Catholic, I appreciate that representation, if you will, for that.
So if we're gonna talk, yeah. So Jason Ingram says that is good writing. So that kind of does beg me the question: how does Punisher's relation with Catholicism differ with Matt's? Because obviously you can have people who are the same religion, but they kind of go about it differently. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I'm not a Catholic. I'm not privy to the doctrine, but I know a lot about it because I have many friends that are Catholic, and I've seen a lot of shows dealing with it. That's not really the way to do it, but this is the one in which I made it clear that he was a Catholic because he goes to church for confession.
There you go. There you go.
Holy
That's the sign.
water.
That's the sign. There you go.
That's Bill Reinhold's art. Bill did a great job.
Yeah, he
Nice.
did. Oh my God.
Very nice. I love it.
And by the way, Nick, I'll kind of weigh in on the for Frank versus Matt thing, because a kind of a key thing about that is that the amount of people that Matt sleeps with pre-marriage, kind of, yeah, that's kind of a big thing in Catholicism.
He's being, so I guess you could say he's being quite the daredevil with his faith.
You could say he needs to be born again.
I'm sorry, Mike. We have some very bad puns on the show.
They're terrible.
I guess I should be punished for them. I'm sorry.
Okay, Nick,
Okay.
this must be a Christian
Keep going.
show. But anyway, but yeah,
Good thing I don't believe in castle doctrine.
What's interesting is that with Frank, it's like he never has like a love interest because his first love is still his wife. I mean, they kind of gave him one in the show, and I'm like, I get what you're going for. I don't like it because if anyone is going to be one of those guys that's like loyal to his wife even after she's dead, it's Frank. To the point where, so Mike, a couple of years ago, they did. I'm sure you at least heard in the zeitgeist when they made Captain America a Nazi. They had Frank
They
as his
turned that back so
enforcer
quick.
because the idea was that Frank would that if Frank helped evil Steve, otherwise known as Stevel, then Stevel would bring his family back. And I'm like, Frank's not gonna side with Nazis.
Yeah, that's ridiculous, because it's supernatural crap.
Yeah.
And the Punisher is a street level
Mhm.
vigilante, and his stories should be rooted in the real world.
You guys ever hear about that one storyline where after Civil War, Frank actually like took up the shield of Captain America for like a minute?
Well, here's what happened with that. I'm going to give you the full story. So Cap dies. He gets shot in the middle of the thing, and then he would later travel through time, but that's a story for another time. But so many different people were offered the shield or tried to take up the shield. That's why the Winter Soldier took up the shield, because he's like, you all are going to ruin it. But that's always been kind of my.
I could turn that book around in 2 or 3 issues. In one issue, I could turn it around in one issue.
Mm-hmm.
All right, what would you do, sir? I'm
Yeah,
actually curious now.
I would do what I'm doing with Private American. I don't want to tell you what I'm doing there because the new issues will blow your mind. But if you get Private American and read it, you'll see.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's all street level crime, dealing with real problems that we have to deal with today, not running and hiding and inventing fantasy problems or bringing in dinosaurs or aliens from outer space.
Yeah. And if Frank sees any Nazis, chances are he's gonna shoot them.
Yeah.
He's not gonna go, can you bring my family back? Okay, I'll betray all my friends.
And here's the other thing. Frank would shoot actual Nazis, not like what people say are. Like everyone's getting that label nowadays.
Well, you know what Nazi? You know where the word Nazi comes from?
National Socialist Party.
That's right, National Socialism.
I study history.
And for 70 years, the left has been trying to convince people we're not like them. That's far right. That's far right. Well, no. I mean, National Socialism is virtually indistinguishable from Stalin's Russia and Red China, and what a certain party has been trying to institute here that we just went through, locking up political dissenters without trial, and going after people for praying outside abortion centers.
Silently praying, mind you.
Silently praying,
arresting
not even with
parents who show up at education department meetings to complain that boys are changing in the girls' dressing room. So we got a big course correction recently, and I hope things will stay on the present course long enough for the United States to recover from what has been done to it.
And that's like, for another character, that's what a lot of people get wrong about Captain America, because they see him as like this rah, everything America does is good. But what they forget is what Cap is, he's what America can be. Does it always live up to its like ideals? No. And he's straight up. A lot of his stories are going against the U.S. government because the government itself is not living up to the ideals of what America is supposed to be in the Constitution, the founding document, like all that other great stuff. And Cap is like, no, that's why it annoys me when like writers from a certain political party have Cap legit say that the American dream was never real. And I'm like, Cap would never say that.
Yeah, Cap would never say that in a million years.
You know, the second Dirty Harry movie is about dirty cops.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember that?
I never saw it.
It's worth watching.
I'll
It's
check
got
it
a real
out.
wake-up call in it.
I'll check it out. I definitely will. And yeah, it's like the other problem is like when you have too much media. And I was talking to a friend of mine on my show about this, that when you have too many shows that depict bad cops or like bad people with guns or like the Punisher being a psychopath, that starts to change how people see the Punisher, cops, and all that stuff to apply it to everyone.
Yep.
Yeah. And I think, and it's like, I think this is kind of why the Blue Lives Matter movement popped up is, like, are there bad cops? Yes. You ask your regular cops, even they'll admit, yes, there are bad cops. And not just are there bad cops, sometimes departments are so crooked that even the good cops have to be silent. Like, I remember there was this Nightwing story during like the Chuck Dixon run, where like Dick was being part of the Bloodhaven Police Department, and it was so freaking crooked. The good cops actually had to hide in secret, while the bad cops could be out in the daylight. And
Right.
like Dick actually kind of commented on that, and I thought that was wild. Like something would be so crooked that the good cops had to meet in secret. That was so weird.
Well, not only that, it's like, and they show this in the first Nolan Batman movie. Part of the reason why he became Batman is because the police force was so corrupt. He's like, you're not doing your job. Someone's got to do it. Or it's like in the case of the Punisher, when he goes, hey, when the justice system fails, sometimes an average person has to take up the mantle of protecting justice.
Only in America.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like Punisher exists because bad cops exist. I think, would you say that's a fair statement, Mike?
Well, yes and no. I mean, initially he was motivated by the death of his family to get the people who did it. He was motivated by revenge, and then he realized that this was his calling, that he had no family left, and he wanted his life to mean something. So he became the court of last resort for people who can't get justice anywhere else.
All right, so we have my VTuber friend Lifu here saying Punisher symbol being racist. What? Yeah, you and me both. There's a lot of people who try to make that claim,
which is hilarious because Frank Kill's racist. So I'm like, you really want to go down this road of thinking, hack writer?
To me, the Punisher symbol is a promise. Mm-hmm. It is a promise of justice.
That's it.
Justice being done one way or the other. Usually the other.
Yeah.
And that's what Chris Kyle said. He said, the reason why we spray paint us on all of our gear is like, hey, we're coming for you. So you're not escaping. You might as well just give up now. We're coming for you.
I never really have heard of it. That's fine. Mike, you want to do like a really quick rundown of like Punisher as a character for some people who might not be aware?
Well, the Punisher is based on The Executioner by Don Pendleton. He was created by Jerry Conway. And the moment he appeared, everybody who reads Pulp Fiction knew that. Mm-hmm. And I've read a bunch of Executioner novels. They're good Pulp Fiction. Jerry didn't do anything with the character. He was just a walk-on. Steve Grant did something with the character in the special. And then I took over. And I took him seriously. And I thought about everything he did. And I think I gave him his personality and his purpose. And he became a different character. He became unique. He was not Don Pendleton's Executioner. He was a man driven by his past to right wrongs.
And Lifu, here's the thing. If you read The Punisher as a teen, there's a good chance what you read, this man wrote it.
Yeah, most likely.
Well, yeah, all those books are available in reprint volumes, although I'm sure they hide them at the bookstore.
They probably do. Yeah, they're like, oh my gosh, a good guy that uses a gun, hide it.
Oh no. But yeah, I just love Punisher for like the simplicity of his character. You know, he's just a man with a gun and a desire for justice. You know, it's like I've said a couple times, it kind of harkens back to the old gunslinger, Dirty Harry. And there's a beauty in the simplicity of his character. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I love the character, obviously, and I've done many variations of him over the years. In fact, Blaine Pardo and I have a series of novels
Mm.
that are out right now called Tenure. And once again, I'm going to do a plug because here I am. What else have I got to do?
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Lifu, thanks you for the childhood memories.
Yeah.
And Tenure is about a history professor in Portland, where else, who declines to use a student's preferred pronoun and how it destroys his life. First of all, the university fires him. And then Antifa runs his wife off the road. And then they phone a SWAT squad into his house, and the police run in and panic and shoot his daughter dead. So they kill his wife, they kill his daughter, and finally he's got nothing left. And he says, well, you know, I have nothing left. So I'm going to track down everybody who caused me these problems, and I'm going to kill them.
See, normally I would say like some of those actions are a little bit wild, but seeing what people are doing to Cybertrucks, like literally setting them on fire, I nothing is out of the ordinary for me now.
Well, that's because most of those people are vicious children who act on their emotions. They just feel so very strongly.
Yeah, my thing is like
they're incapable of reason. They have not studied history, so they don't know what's in history.
Yeah. Like, you can hate Elon Musk. You can hate all that stuff. That's fine. It's a free country. Think what you think. But, like, to damage someone's property is a line you do not cross.
Well, you know, property. The United States is founded on the primacy of private property. And one of the reasons is you have no personal liberty unless you have private property. And if you think about it, that's true.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's like how like originally when this country was founded, voting was restricted to only people who were landowners.
This is tenure number 2. It's out. We're working on issue number 3.
This is a comic, I assume,
No,
right?
it's a novel. These are novels. They're all up on Amazon. They're doing very well. They're selling like hotcakes. We're turning them out like Fords. The next one is about Peanut the squirrel.
Oh, God.
Oh, that is awesome. That situation was so messed up, I gotta say.
I know.
You wonder why you lost the election. I'm like, you killed a squirrel.
Like, a lady from Texas called it in, and like
I thought she was in Minneapolis, but I could be wrong. I think you're right. It was Texas. In our book, she's from Minneapolis.
Yeah, that situation was so messed up. Like I just don't understand. Like, if they wanted to test for rabies, they could have just quarantined the squirrel for like 14 days or something. If you're really that concerned.
They say that the only way to test for rabies is to euthanize it and then test, but the whole thing was fucked up. They had no business raiding his house. A SWAT squad for a man and his wife who have a pet squirrel, and they were there for 5 hours. What were they doing there for 5 hours?
Looking for something. They were looking for something to depend on him. You know.
Yeah.
See, like, the Peanut of the squirrel is like a situation where that could have been handled so much better. Like, even if, like, temporarily taking the squirrel away, like, there are so many ways they could have handled that, made just, like, proper justifications, but they did it in, like, the worst way possible.
Well, the guy had a popular YouTube show, and the problem was that he was a conservative, and he would voice conservative opinions, and so he was being punished for that. It had nothing to do with any danger from the squirrel.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. They put to sleep 2 of their pets. Holy crap.
Yeah.
Oh, God. Yeah. That was such a travesty, honestly. And then they, like, they tried to add, like, oh, did you know he's gay? Like, did you know he's like, I don't care. The dude's gay. The
Who?
dude had a pet squirrel. The Peanut the squirrel guy. Like it was.
Oh, I thought he was married.
I don't know. Like they tried to like do some sort of gotcha.
Well, if he
or
was
whatever.
gay, they should have worshipped at his feet.
You'd be surprised. You would like it's like the whole like Elon Musk is like everyone wants electric cars. Now that Elon Musk is supposedly bad, it's like, oh, like whatever. Just I'm like you. I just want to live my life.
Most people
whatever.
do. Most people want to be left alone. But there's a certain class of people who won't leave them alone.
Like I don't care who. Like do whatever you want. If you want to be a gay unicorn that shit Skittles, I don't fucking care. Do what you want to do. Just let me grill.
That reminds me of, I was at the dog park one day with my dog, and I looked down at the parking lot, and there were two furries playing with each other between the cars. You know what furries are.
Yeah.
And so I went down there and I said, "Whoa, what are you furries up to?" And this girl turns to me and she says, "Oh, thank you for recognizing that we're furries."
I mean, at least they're polite,
Yeah.
Like I don't care, The person's like people can do what they want. Someone wants to put in and go into a fursuit and just do stuff in the privacy of their own room. That's their business. I don't care.
Jason Ingram writes, if Lady Themis was on anyone's side, it would be the Punishers. Jason, you're prescient because Braxton Knox, who's the hero of Tenure, names his rifle Themis.
Oh. Yeah, and then Jason Ingram also says, this is why these people are insane. I'm a pagan. Nothing to do with them. Yeah.
Well, you're a self-respecting pagan.
Yeah. They also did not let the guy go feed his other animals. They just made him sit outside on the curb as they raid. Oh, God. Yeah. It's I actually had forgotten about that whole situation. Thank you for reminding me. Like, I need justice for Peanut. It's like that whole it's like you guys remember Harambe? Like that was another situation that could like been handled a lot better.
Yeah.
Like, did they have to shoot the gorilla? And like as an edgelord, I always like to say, like, you can really tell the world has gone to crap since Harambe died. It's a edgy joke. I apologize. He's like, I did not know that. You're right. And yeah, they tried to deport his wife. Really?
Well, I should look into it more deeply. Although we certainly have more than enough material to write the novel. Because once you start researching these people, it leads you to discoveries that you never considered when you conceived the story. For instance, I'm writing a new book for the Rippaverse now.
Oh, nice.
And it involves a dinosaur. So I started looking into dinosaurs, and I discovered that the largest dinosaur on the North American continent is the Alamosaurus.
So that actually kind of like I actually want to ask you something. What is it like working for Eric July? I'm not going to follow it up. Just that's gonna be my question.
It's great.
Because like I see Eric as a person who's just making comics. Love him or hate him, at least he's producing something. He's putting out comics on a regular basis. A lot of these people who like criticize him, they're not even putting out stuff. So I'm like, I don't know. I see Eric and he's actually doing something, and I respect
He certainly is. I wish I could tell you about this new book. I don't think he's announced it then yet. But,
okay, I see.
You're gonna love it. We all sign non-disclosure agreements. In fact, they hand
understandable.
They hand us little paddles that say NDA whenever we appear on a panel at a show.
That's good. I love that.
Right. Lifu says, I talked to a lawyer friend who listed me all the laws and federal laws they broke during this. It's fine. It's fine, Lifu. I do appreciate the detail.
At least they didn't shoot the owner.
Oh gosh. Or they could have gone full ATF and shot the dog. Oh god, that's such a bad joke. I apologize. But like, getting back to the Eric July stuff. So like, how does working for the Rippaverse compare to like working to Marvel back in the day or like any other like big company?
Well, it's not much different. I give them an outline. They give me a green light. I write the script. They make a few modifications, and then it goes to press. It goes to the artist,
Mm-hmm.
and then it goes to the press. I would like to work more closely with Eric the way Chuck does,
Mm-hmm.
where they outline a story together, and then Chuck takes it. I just got a copy of The Great War of Separation #1, which Chuck wrote. It's in the other room.
Oh, I've been hearing that's been doing really good.
And #2's coming out next. And my editors are the Soska sisters, two of the most delightful
There you
movie
go.
makers I've ever
Nice.
met.
There you
What are
go.
they like in person? Like,
They're wonderful. They are wonderful, warm, witty people.
I want to meet them so bad.
I can get my Yaira copy signed.
So yeah. So like when you're doing your we have the Iron Age Queen in the chat. We have Watcher of the Damned.
I watch her.
Yeah, she's awesome. So what do you think of like the whole indie movement that's kind of spouted up in like the last 10 years or so? Like it's always existed to some degree,
Well,
but
it's the future of comics. It's the traditional comic publishers circle the drain, and there's so many reasons for it. The main reason, which is never discussed, is we have a whole generation of kids who don't read
Mhm.
because they were raised on the internet. They're on their phones texting back and forth. They play video games, and frankly, a good video game is a lot more entertaining than your average comic. And
True.
there's a thing called Sturgeon's Law. Theodore Sturgeon was a great science fiction writer, and he created Sturgeon's Law, which says 90% of everything is crap. 90% of the movies are crap. 90% of the books, 90% of the comics. And he's right. They are crap. Everybody thinks they can do a comic, and they do, but that doesn't mean it's any good. A comic seems so simple on the face of it. It's just words and pictures. You can doodle it on your desk when you're at school. You can create a comic. I know people who did. But that doesn't mean it's any good. If you want to make it good, you have to understand what constitutes story. And you have to take your time and use words and pictures together to maximum effect. And one of the things that I always tell people who want to do comics is that words are necessary for a comic. Without words, it's not a comic. You're going to breeze through it and say pretty pictures and forget it.
I've had this conversation with so many artists. This is kind of where I get in conflict with a lot of artists, because like artists like, oh, art is like the most important thing, blah blah. Okay.
That said, you
God.
must keep your words to a minimum.
Yes.
The less words
yes.
you use, the more powerful the story is, if you know how to use the words.
Did I not give you that criticism when I edited your comic?
Yeah, because I went from writing prose like an actual novel to a comic, and there was a bit of a transition because, like you said, I had to like learn. Okay, so how do I say the same thing but with less words so it's not covering the art?
Exactly. Every time
way too many artists. Way too many writers nowadays. They basically write novels worth of text, and I'm like,
we've
God.
all opened a comic and seen all the art covered with 500 words in huge caption boxes and word balloons, and your first reaction is, oh man, this looks like work. This doesn't look like fun.
Brevity is the soul of wit. That's honestly the first lesson that every comic book writer needs to learn is cut your sentences down. Say more with less. Like that's why I always kind of like to study Ernest Hemingway, because he was a master.
Great. Yeah, he's certainly changed the course of fiction. Every time I look at anything I've written, I find a way to improve it by taking words out.
Yeah. Yeah, like every time I edit, it's like I just take a hatchet job to my dialogue and I like cut it down.
That's good.
Like you don't want to cut it down too much.
No.
Like I try to maintain some flavor with the dialogue, but too much flavor and it's like, this long, it's like But I don't want them to be like, yeah, no, but yeah, it's very much a balancing act.
Because what you're going to run into is like, again, to that point, you do because people, like you said before, Mike, people want to be enthralled in a story. You don't want your reader going, opening the page, seeing a crap ton of dialogue, and going, "Oh man."
Yeah,
Yeah.
another thing
Mm-hmm.
is that your characters have to sound like real people talking, the way real people talk.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, that's another problem with a lot of writers. Like you watch a lot of movies, everyone talks like screenwriters. For
It
me,
depends. It depends. I mean, there are some writers who nail it. I like David Mamet. He
yeah,
wrote The Edge. He wrote the script to The Untouchables. And of course, he wrote unforgettable lines. They come at you with a knife, you go after them with a machine gun. That was Sean Connery in The Untouchables.
I love that.
But he's written so many memorable lines.
for me, it's Tarantino. That's who I look to for how I do dialogue. Like keep it loose, keep it casual, kind of keep it brief. Like he does like interplay really well. Like his people like actually sound like real people. So like Tarantino, who I study for dialogue.
He's very good. His movies run hot and cold for me, but I have to say, I think Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is his masterpiece. I've watched it several times, and I'll watch it again.
Pulp Fiction is kind of my marker of good dialogue.
It's a memorable film.
Like that opening of like them just talking about Royale with cheese is like probably some of the most probably one of the most well written opening scenes in a movie ever, in my opinion. Because it just says on the surface it's just like a conversation about nothing, but it tells you so much about the characters, and it's just so yeah. But Lifu has a question. Any opinions on overdoing cliffhangers in each volume? Seems like a lot of new artists leave like, yeah, that's kind of a thing. Honestly,
Well, it has to do with the form and also with television. As television writers understand, or they used to, that their show is going to be interrupted by commercials
Mm-hmm.
every 12 or 15 minutes. And it's like writing a chapter in a book. You don't want to write a chapter and just have it hang there without a natural ending. That doesn't mean something has to happen
Mm-hmm.
or that there has to be a cliffhanger. It just has to sound like this scene is finished. Let's move on. If you are writing the type of fiction that I write, you're going to need cliffhangers, but you don't need a cliffhanger all the time. When you have 24 pages to tell a story, you can tell a lot of story in 24 pages, a complete story. And I would prefer to do that. I like standalone stories that you can tell in 24 pages. Of course, that doesn't mean I always did them. I had serials running in Nexus and Badger for a while, but most of them were 3 or 4 issues long so that they could be collected. The important thing is that the suspense rises naturally out of the story and doesn't seem plopped in like a visitor from Mars. Because the secret of, let me see if I can find something here to show you. The secret of all fiction, or at least the fiction that we try to do, damn it, I can't find anything, but it's this. It's all based on tension and release.
Mm-hmm.
Tension and release.
yeah, that's why
Thank you, Watcher.
I often equate writing to music, because music is
I
that
do
same
too.
way.
I do
Like
too.
like a perfect example is shave and a haircut, 2 bits. Like that. That's just a great like that. Just like doing that. It's just a great way to to show like tension and release. Like shave and a haircut, 2 bits. Like it's just a quick way to kind of example.
I liken it to a good pop song where you have the tonic and then you have the bridge and then you have the hook. What is the hook? The hook is a third chord that resolves the tension between the first 2 chords. And it's heard in the blues. The blues are 12-bar form with 3 chords. The first chord, the 4th chord, the 5th chord, the first chord again.
Oh, you got a nice voice.
Yeah.
And it's like one of the things that I always picked up is like, to your point, Mike, it's like, yeah, it's like if you're telling like a story with like sequential comic books, or it's like if you're telling an arc of a comic book, it's like, yeah, each issue can build on the other one and set up something for the next issue, but for the most part, it should be you could get a complete story, granted a smaller story in one issue, because if it's coming out month to month, that could be the only issue of like Punisher or Daredevil that someone picks up.
Yeah, and
like
I write each issue to be a complete story in and of itself, even if it's part of a longer story.
Yeah, exactly.
and the thing about like storytelling is it's not just one tension release. You got your peaks and valleys. Like, let's say you're doing a story where you're trying to smuggle somebody out of prison. You might have like a little bit of thing where it's like, oh, it's a guard. We're trying to sneak past him. Is he gonna see our thing is fake? Oh, he lets us in. Oh, thank God. You know, like that's little mini kind of tension release kind of thing.
Jose mentions Taylor Sheridan,
Mm-hmm.
who I think is a great filmmaker. I love his stuff.
Yeah, he's definitely done well for himself. Honestly,
Sicario
like,
is one of my favorite movies, and I love Yellowstone.
Yes, yeah, I've seen the first Sicario. Like that scene on the border, like is like probably one of the best scenes in cinema ever.
That's the iconic scene that when people think of the first Sicario movie, they think of that scene on the border.
Yeah. Last episode of Daredevil Born Again with Frank and Matt sounded like them.
Yeah.
Also, just Frank saying "bullseye" was so weird.
Mm-hmm.
Punisher Music Theory by Mike Barron. When is that book coming out?
That works.
Free bird. Guys, I got to bow out.
All right, dude.
All right, it was great. It was actually nice to like talk shop with you towards the end. That was cool.
Thank you for having me.
Anytime.
Always, anytime.
All right.
All right, we'll see you, brother. All right.
So let's just kind of have like a just general comic chat here. So if you guys got any like comic takes or even writing questions, we'd be happy to answer because Jared's a comic book creator himself. So he's definitely All right. And then Leafy's like, Sally have to run. All right. Well, thank you for joining us, Leafy. Also, thank you for supporting Screecher number 3. Number 4 is coming out later this year. I'm happy to say that. No, it's okay. We appreciate Leafy. We hope to see you again soon. And I will say, if you like to see a Mike Barron, please don't forget to leave a like, comment, maybe subscribe. And if you're really feeling awesome, you could become a torchbearer for the channel. For $5 a month, you get a shout out every episode. You get to exclusive emojis and all that stuff.
It's a trick. Run.
All right, Jose, we'll get to your question. I just want to shout out my members real quick. There's 3 of them. First off is a very good-looking individual, Jared from Comics League. Then we have Jason Ingram and JB. We love you, buddies. So Jose's got a good question for you. Who are your top writers of comics right now? So they have to be active right now.
Not Tom King, I'll tell you that much.
Hashtag King off Wonder Woman.
Jeremy Adams. Like, if there is a writer that here's the thing. Adams is the writer that we need right now because he's the type that even if he doesn't know that much about the character, he will do the research. And it's like his Green Lantern, his Aquaman is fantastic. Now he's exclusive at DC. Maybe he can hop on a Wonder Woman because he wants to write Wonder Woman. But there's also Philip Kennedy Johnson is fantastic. He did the Warworld saga where Superman was a gladiator. So badass. Like, ridiculously good. And
the only one that I can name off the top of my head as of right now is Jonathan Hickman. Is probably the greatest writer in comics at the moment.
Yes.
Which, by the way, we will be reviewing Spider-Man, Ultimate Spider-Man Volume 2 next month. That has happened.
Yeah. So Hickman saved the X-Men because previous to like the Krakoa thing, the X-Men were not like completely bombing. Let me be clear on this, but they were kind of stale. And this is where you had the idea that the X-Men formed their own mutant nation. The problem is Marvel editorial didn't back him up, and the other collaborators he had basically booted him out.
Yeah, the only other writer I can answer off the top of my head would be Kyle Higgins.
He's doing pretty well. Also, Hickman is
He made Power Ranger comics. Like this Power Ranger comics run is amazing.
Yeah,
Shattered Grid,
by the way,
Lord Draken, all that stuff.
Hickman also did Aliens Avengers, which is the crossover between the Aliens and the Avengers. It's so good. So good. Yeah, yeah, exactly. And then here's how you know Jeremy Adams did understands Green Lanterns. Do you know what he did before he was in comics? He was one of the writers of the Green Lantern animated series.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so that's how you know he's doing that. So if I had to do one more really good writer that I think nowadays is good, Kelly Thompson. If you're reading Absolute Wonder Woman, you know what I'm talking about. Nick, eventually we're going to cover Absolute Wonder Woman.
We can negotiate that.
We can negotiate that, Jesus.
I'm just not interested in the Absolute stuff. Like, I took one look at, like, Absolute Batman and that, like, frickin' symbol
Luckily,
of his...
you let me pick every other review.
I didn't say every other review. I threw you a bone.
Yeah, you did say that. You did. I remember you specifically said, "Don't have old man brain all of a sudden." I won't make you do Absolute Batman, but you're gonna do Absolute Wonder Woman.
Yeah, Mark Millar is really great.
Yeah. There you go. All three of those are great.
Jeff Johns, I haven't really read much of his recent stuff. I've read some of his older stuff. It's pretty good. Oh gosh. But yeah, it was really great. We had an actual like Marvel writer on the show today. That was really cool.
Yeah. And a legendary one at that.
Oh gosh, yes. So we were talking before the stream, since we're both comic book creators, like with a certain artist we'd love to work with. Which of the non-obvious comic book artists, so people like Jim Lee, Tom McFarlane are off the table here. Which non-obvious comic artist would you love to have to work for like a cover or even do the whole book?
Jim Lee and Todd McFarlane. I'm only kidding. Probably Daniel Sampere, who's doing the art for Wonder Woman right now. I love his Wonder Woman art. And maybe Mateo de Lewis, who's doing the fill-in art for Absolute Wonder Woman. I would love for him to do Athena.
Nice. Like I said, I've always wanted to work with Scott McDaniel, his Nightwing run, which is possible. He's actually pretty affordable, like I've said. I just wish I could have worked with George Perez because, like, New Teen Titans is like one of my favorite books, and to have George Perez do my character would just be such a badge of honor.
Yeah, exactly. And also for me, because my book is heavily influenced by Wonder Woman. So
okay, here's a question for you: which artist, living or dead, money no object, let's just say passed away artist, would you like to do?
George Perez. I'm in no way is that ever a thought. George Perez.
Like, what if he's like, so, Jared, I want to give Athena really long curly hair.
Yes. Do whatever you want, dude. Do whatever you want. Do whatever you want, bro.
So when you go and do an Atlas book, what passed away artist? Like,
Atlas book.
I'm thinking some Superman artists.
But the problem is the Superman artists that people know, like Dan Jurgens, are a-holes. So I'm not necessarily gonna do Jurgens. I would probably have to do it like Rags Morales, or if I can't pick that, maybe Lionel Francis Yu. He did the art for Birthright. I thought that was really good.
Okay. So obviously you got your Pantheon. What else you got in the cooker, sir? Anything you want to share?
Well, so By the way, so we just released an in-depth episode, Britt and I, on the whole evil Superman trope that's been in superhero media. And here's how in-depth. It's 3 hours and 43 minutes long.
Oh, God.
And we go through the boys. We go... So here's the funny part. So when we're talking about the boys, you see me like have a lot of pauses because I'm trying to think, how do I describe what happens in the boys and not get demonetized?
Oh, God. Yes.
Yeah, so I'm like, how do I? And Britt sees me. I'm like, well, and she's like, oh, that's silence. So we did that. We talked about Invincible and how Omni-Man actually gets a redemption arc.
I'm just gonna say this.
Yeah, go ahead.
Omni-Man is evil Superman done right. He is the best.
Yeah, he gets a redemption arc. Because here's the thing, Nick. Injustice 2, they tease that Superman's gonna turn good.
What?
No, throughout the entire game, they set it up that maybe Superman's going to have a redemption at the end of the game. And then you get to the end of the game, and it's literally the exact same goddamn argument. I even did a thing where I could solve Injustice in one arc. Essentially what happens is Lois dies. The Injustice storyline proceeds as normal up until the Joker's dead, and then obviously Superman does not turn evil because that's not what would happen, at least according to Grant Morrison. I trust Grant Morrison more than Tom Taylor. And Wonder Woman comforts Superman, obviously, and she's not the Xena the Warrior Princess evil woman that she is in the comics. Because
the problem with
the Injustice comic, she's evil.
The problem with the Injustice comic is it relies on every character being insanely stupid.
Yeah, exactly. Or like, so, you know, I love how they had to give all the superheroes pills in order to explain why they could take a punch from Superman.
Oh, God.
Yeah, but here's the problem, and this is something that we said on the show. It's like with Injustice, people got the idea that if Lois dies, Superman turns into Injustice Superman. And we're like, wait a minute, you're ignoring the city getting nuked.
See, here's the problem. And by the way, we should maybe do an episode on this. I feel like the Justice Lords in Justice League on the Justice League show was a better Injustice. Like, it was better written than the actual Injustice, because the setup for that is their Flash dies and they decide to be Justice Lords. That is a way much better setup than Injustice. Because if you look at the Justice Lords, like, Batman still acts like Batman. Like, all the characters still act like they're people. It's just, you know, different path.
Do you know why Batman is the hero of Injustice? Because Ed Boon is a hardcore Batman fan.
I mean, I respect his choice in characters, but still.
Yeah, but I hate it when you have to denigrate other characters. And like, NetherRealms has a lot of issues when it comes to its female characters. Like, they legit make Wonder Woman the villain of Injustice. Like, here's the story, Nick. They had to do a comic book storyline to explain this. So, for the first, like, 75% of this comic, it's the movie, essentially. They even recreate the No Man's Land scene. Dope as hell. So, they need to, like, interrogate this German soldier. I said on the show, a Nazi. So, they have to go back to the island to get the lasso of truth. She didn't take it with her when she left. So, when she returns, they put Steve in a cell. He escapes and kills an Amazon, and it turns out he was a Nazi this entire time. Wonder Woman kills him with the lasso of truth. That explains why Wonder Woman is a villain. That's their explanation. Ignoring the fact that she served in the JSA and JLA, a group of the best men she has ever experienced. So I'm like, it doesn't line up with what you're setting up, guys.
Yeah, plus if you go to, like, the Mortal Kombat side, a lot of the women in the Mortal Kombat games are written pretty decently well. I said pretty decently well. I'm not saying it's perfect.
Yeah, exactly. But it's like, no, but it's like they straight up make her the villain and make Harley Quinn the good guy. Like, Harley Quinn is a member of the Bat family in Injustice.
They've been trying to make that happen for a while.
And I'm like, she contribute. She's murdered children.
In some timeline, she's murdered Robins.
Yeah, so I'm like, no, absolutely freaking not. Oh, you know who was a good version of like evil Superman that actually came out recently? Batman Ninja versus the Yakuza League.
See, for me, Harley Quinn,
Yeah.
like, you can make her an anti-hero.
Yeah.
Like, even have her be like an anti-hero, like on the very edges of the Bat family. Like, I think the Gotham City Sirens is like a cool idea.
Oh, yeah.
Because Catwoman is kind of the same way. She's not really part of the Bat family. She's kind of on like the periphery of it.
Not recently. Recently, she's been more in it because she was engaged to Bruce, and they're even back together.
She was allowed in because on the basis of she's sleeping with Batman.
Hey, Selena, come on in. You remember the Bat family now, and behold the Bat bed.
It's literally shaped like a bat.
Yeah, it's shaped like a bat, exactly. And I have a pillow shaped like a bat. But anyway, the reason why Yakuza League is good because, okay, do you mind if I spoil it?
Yeah, go ahead.
So the plot of the first movie is that Gorilla Grodd builds a time machine to go back in time because what he originally wanted to do was leave all the Batman rogues in like feudal Japan and they'll rule feudal Japan. So that gets undone. So Batman and the Bat family show back up in Gotham. They come back to their timeline to discover that Japan is gone, and they have this weird occurrence called Yakuza hurricanes. It's when like a tornado shoots down and Yakuza guys jet back down.
No, here I am, Yakuza like a hurricane.
Yeah. So
sorry.
So Batman and Damian go in, and there's like a rift in space that only they can see. So Japan has essentially been pulled through to another dimension. So they hop in the Batwing and go through it, and then they're attacked by a woman that looks like Jessica Cruz, Green Lantern. So they're like, well, this is weird. And then Aquaman, except they all have like Japanese names. Like Aquaman is Asha, the sea dragon. It's really cool. Everyone guessed their own thing. That Diana is Diana, the eagle goddess. So what they discover, and this is really cool, the way they figure out who's behind this is Superman stops them, and all Batman has to say is, okay, how does your boss refer to me? And he goes, you are the detective, the one that collects dirt on other people. And the Batman goes, okay, that answers my question. It's Ra's al Ghul. And so Ra's kidnaps Robin and explains the whole story. So what he did is he improved Grodd's machine to allow him to shift space-time a little bit and like change reality. Essentially what he did is this is a reality where Clark Kent crash landed in Japan and was raised by a Yakuza family.
Oh.
Aquaman's mother, you know how like she like how the traditional story is she met a lighthouse keeper and then they fell in love. No, in this she met a Yakuza gangster and then had Arthur. Jessica Cruz was a gambler who accrued a gambling debt, and when she was on the run, she found her power ring. So it's like they kind of changed all the stories. The Flash's one, by the way, his name is Barry the Fleetfoot because he's fleet of foot. His thing is that he was struck by lightning while in a hot spring. So what happens is they did something really cool. So Batman goes back to Gotham and gets Jason, Tim, and Nightwing, and so there's this great moment. So they're gearing up. So it's actually kind of funny. By Wonder Woman is the only good character in this so far. Of course. Have you noticed that even in Suicide Squad, she was the good guy? I'm like, hey, at least she's always respected. But anyway, in this, so what they do is, so Red Hood says, okay, find the Yakuza League. This is going to be a tough fight. And Batman goes, no, it isn't, because we already know their powers, and these people have never been in an actual fight before.
Find Diana. She's the key.
Yeah, she is. So they need a new Bat vehicle. So you know what Alfred did? He prepared an instructional video that's literally a Voltron clip of them coming together because their vehicle is called the Bat Phoenix. It's a bunch of tanks that come together, and they're literally doing like they all go into like the tubes and the vehicles combined.
My God,
it's so funny. So they take off, and then what's kind of
Why?
cool? So Wonder Woman is challenged by Arthur to a duel. And the way she's challenged is Arthur writes a message on a giant sea turtle and sends it to her. So,
why?
so Wonder Woman has, and you know, in every anime, there's an obligatory song. They do this where she sings.
What?
There's like a musical number. Only
How
one.
is this good?
No, only one. Only one. It's not like Joker 2. So Wonder Woman fights Aquaman, and it's a dope fight scene. So Batman and the Bat family show back up. They ram into Jessica Cruz, and what's kind of funny is, of course, Nightwing. He's like, "Hi," and the vehicles separate, and Nightwing's supposed to fight Jessica, and the way he does this is he has this armor that's basically homaging his old '80s suit. And what's kind of cool is so he can fly, and they're battling. So Jessica gets the drop on him and like stabs him, but it turns out it was a decoy body the entire time. And it's like she's like, "How did you do that?" And what's kind of funny, so you know how like in anime they always announce their moves.
Yes.
So they do that, and then Nightwing goes, "Science ninja technique, body decoy." So then Nightwing and Red Robin and Red Hood basically deploy in Batmobiles, and they fight the Flash. And the way they do this is a genius way to take out the Flash. They keep him running because that way he burns through his metabolism. And then what they do is when he stops to get a vending machine, they shoot him with a sleep dart. And
Okay.
they're like, yeah, we bang out. And then with Superman, Batman shows up in the Dark Knight Returns tank, and they actually have a battle, and the tank transforms into bat armor for him to fight Superman. And what he does is, so Superman throws him around.
Wait. He shows up in the tumbler?
No, the Dark Knight Returns tank.
Oh, okay.
So Superman throws him around, and it turns out this was all part of Batman's plan because parts of the armor are shooting off and embedding in the wall. But what those are mirrors so he can reflect the sun, filter the sunlight, and turn it into red sun. So there's a scene where Superman tries to jump to like fly at Batman, and he just falls to the ground. And then Batman goes, "You remind me a lot about someone from my world, but when he lost his powers, he kept fighting through sheer willpower. If I'm enough to scare you, you are pathetic." And he like beats the crap out of Superman. But when Superman takes out one of the mirrors, he goes to punch Batman. And then Batman whips out the kryptonite brass and knuckles that Superman gave him and punches him. And he literally goes, "Kryptonite, your one weakness." Like it's a full-on anime. And then he takes out and then he like handcuffs Superman and keeps him under the red sunlight. But what's cool about this, the way that the Yakuza League turned good is, so Raish's machine basically is playing with the multiverse, and then it sends out ripples. And then each of the Yakuza League, Wonder Woman's, Aquaman, all that stuff, you start to see like ghost images of their other versions from the multiverse, like Kingdom Come Wonder Woman, Flashpoint Aquaman, New 52 Superman and Wonder Woman. Yes. And Superman sees like an after image of actual Superman, and that motivates him. He's like, "I see who I'm supposed to be." So they start being superheroes again. But this time when they use their powers, see, their entire bodies are covered in tattoos that start glowing. Like Superman is blue to highlight the blue suit. It's a stylistic choice.
God.
And like Green Lantern obviously has the green stuff. And so they like they help fight. I'm not gonna like spoil what happens, but so it's kind of cool to undo it. So Raish tries to drop a tower on Gotham, in other words, like flatten it, but like the Justice League stop it, the Yakuza League. So to push the tower back through the portal, Aquaman, Green Lantern, and Flash combine their powers and and make a giant sea dragon that like wraps around the structure and brings it up. And what's kind of cool is so Aquaman's arc is that he wants to like rule the oceans, but in this, as he's leaving, he goes, I think I'll stick to lakes. The oceans are salty. And then Jessica Cruz turns to him and goes, "You just figured that out now?" So as they return, everything goes back to normal, and then Batman gets a message from the Justice League to signal everything's fine. And it's like he's late to a Justice League meeting, and Jessica Cruz has the most savage response. She goes, "I know you just had a time traveling adventure, Batman, but that's no excuse to be late." I'm like, my lady Jessica Cruz. I love it.
Well, this movie certainly wasn't on cruise control.
Wait, speaking of cruise control, there's
Oh,
a
God.
moment in this. This is the most anime thing this movie does. So Ra's tries to escape because he's hanging on to a Harrier jet. Ubu goes, "Oh my gosh, it's him! You're not gonna believe this, Ra's." So Batman is like seemingly hovering over the air like this, flying at Ra's like he's Magneto. It turns out he's standing on the Batwing that's cloaked, so it looks like he's just standing on thin air.
Oh my God!
It is the most awesome. I'm gonna see if I can find a clip of that real quick, because you have to see this. This is the most like crazy part of the movie. But you see,
the movie sounds pretty crazy.
Here's why I like this one more than the first one. This one's less nonsensical, because in the other one they literally have it where like an army of monkeys combine with an army of bats and create a giant version of the 1939 Batman.
Oh God!
Yeah, it's very, very anime. So let me see.
Sounds like it.
I'm trying to find it, because I think it was a clip that I showed Britt. But see, the thing is, like, it's very anime, but it's kind of funny. So you know who Simon Baz is, right?
Vaguely.
He's the other Lantern created, but DC did nothing with them. So I was watching the special features of this, and the character designer talked about how he likes to design a character. So he talked about how so DC requested that they use Jessica Cruz as the Green Lantern for this movie. Then he says something that made me burst out laughing. What he said is, "So I didn't know who Jessica Cruz is, so I did my research and discovered that she has a sidekick named Simon Baz."
Oh God!
He's been downgraded to being her sidekick. So hang on. So there's a clip of this that I think is really, really that summarizes why I like this movie. Okay, here we go. All right. So I'm not gonna have the clip on the sound on, because I don't want to get you like copyright strike.
Thank you.
Yeah, I see. I gotcha. So here's the tower. It's falling, and then hang on. I'm gonna skip to where you could see all the glowing suits. Ninja. So, so this is the Nightwing scene when he's so you know his contingency plan for Arthur. He traps Arthur in a sonic trap because sound travels faster underwater.
Oh gosh.
So yeah, I mean, it's still ridiculous, but the thing is, what's kind of funny is Damien calls it out as crazy. Like there's a scene when so the way they send the Yakuza to our world is they literally shoot them out of a giant gun. And
Did Batman shoot the gun?
No. So Damien looks at that and he goes, "That is the stupidest thing I've ever seen."
Oh gosh.
So it's if you're down with like an anime version of the Justice League, it's really cool.
I don't know. Maybe I'll watch it.
The point is, and also you don't have to watch the first movie to understand it. All you got to know is that they went back in time to feudal Japan, stopped the Joker, and came back. That's all you got to know. That's it. You're done.
All right.
So it's kind of funny. I was explaining it because Britt watched it too, and then she was like, "Should I watch the first one out of morbid curiosity?"
No.
Yeah. All right, here's the dragon thing, but by the way, I want to show you this real quick. So this is the dragon thing that they use to push the dimensions back to it together. Hang on. I'll skip. Right. So what happens is, hang on. So Arthur creates like a water spout. Barry spins it up, and Jessica like creates a construct, and then what she does, and then it combines. It's so good because she is literally a Wonder Woman fangirl this entire movie. Like during the music scene, she's like watching Wonder Woman from like the corner, and then Wonder Woman goes to for her to sing too, and she screws it up. It's so good.
So, on that cringy note, we are going to start wrapping up here.
Okay.
Yep. So, thank you everyone. Please make sure to like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. Tomorrow we'll be doing some Final Phase 7. This Friday, I'll have Jared here again talking about some Batman and Robin.
Mm-hmm.
Ready for the hockey team from hell, sir?
Oh yeah, I'll bring my Bat credit card. Never leave the cave without it. Will we keep our masks on? It's better that way.
I mean, yeah, it's better.
We have to say that every episode. By the way, you know what I'm gonna wear? I got this from my comic book store for Batman Day. I'll wear this the entire time I'm on there.
Oh God. Saturday we're still doing Cyberpunk. It'll be pretty awesome. So, Jared, if for some weird reason somebody wanted to find you, where could they get at you?
So you can find me at Comix League, and I just released Super Wonder Legacy episode 85, where Britt and I did a whole very in-depth discussion on evil Superman. And for Wonder Woman Wednesday, I'm going to talk about how Wonder Woman was portrayed in Batman Ninja 2. And for movie night, we're still figuring out what the movie night is going to be. But this week for Super Wonder Legacy, so the way Britt and I normally do this is every other week we do a comparison of Super Wonder to other couples. This week, we're doing Mark and Eve from Invincible.
Ooh.
So that's going to be a really fun one. I can't wait for that. Because Invincible is so good.
Yeah. So thank you, Mike Barrett, for coming on. That was a treat. That was a
legend.
Yes, absolute legend. So thank you, everyone. And remember, I can only show you the door. You're the one to walk through it.